So this camera is just so freaking fun. This is the Insta360 X3, and this is a 360 camera that can get cool shots like this. So basically you can put it on a selfie stick and just take it anywhere in the world and be able to get some awesome shots. And that's because this is always recording everything, because it has two lenses and both of them are recording 180-degree field of view. So basically the software that this camera uses stitches those two different camera angles together to make this really cool circular video image that you do have. And so these cameras have 48 megapixel half-inch sensors, so they can take great video, but also if you do want to take like a 360 photo, you can take a whopping 72 megapixel 360 photo with this camera. And it's recording this 360 video at 5.7K at 30 frames per second. Now you can bump that down to 25 frames per second and even 24 frames per second just using the software on the camera. And you can even go down to 4K and now record at 60 frames per second in addition to recording at 30 frames per second. But I like to keep it at 5.7K. I need all the resolution that I can handle. Now I have been using the Insta360 X2 for the past year or so, and that's the previous version of this camera, and that camera was great. I was able to get some really cool shots, get some really cool locations, and also some other GM cars as well. So this camera just really allowed me to be able to get some shots that you just can't really get on regular single lens cameras. But this X3 is better in multiple ways. So one, the flow state stabilization is going to be more stabler. Is that a word? Actually, I don't know, but it's going to be more stabilized. So when you are doing things that are adventurous, whether you're running or walking or riding bikes and stuff, the image and the video just going to be very, very smooth. And also if you want to get into recording HDR video, you can do that with this X3. So they have a dedicated mode for that. And HDR video is basically going to be able to control and manage those shadows and those highlights to make the video come out crisp and clean as possible. And especially in situations where it might be, you know, at dusk or dawn, where that sun might be kind of hitting you at a certain angle and it might be a little bit harsh for just regular video. This HDR video will be able to help that a lot. But honestly, the most noticeable change with this new camera is the fact that it has a way bigger screen. I don't even need to go over the specs. You can just see here in this side-by-side comparison that the screen on the X3 is so much bigger. And this fixes one of my biggest complaints about the X2, because that smaller screen did make it hard to try to line up your shots properly. And when I was trying to mount that camera on top of a car, for example, it made it very hard for me to see that I have it lined up the way I want it to. Now, because of this limitation, I started to use the Insta360 app a lot alongside this camera to be able to line up my shots. And that's been the same case with this X3, even though it has the bigger screen. When I am trying to mount this camera on top of a car, for example, I can get inside of the car and have the camera mounted outside, and then now I can control everything using the app. So you can change the resolution, you can change the different lens modes, you can basically do everything that you can do on the camera inside of the app, and you can be nice and warm inside of your car. When you are recording 360 video, you can move the screen around to be able to see what the camera sees in all directions.
But okay, so what happens after you take this footage, and how do you get these cool shots where you see the camera pans from one side to the other? Well, you can do this in the Insta360 app on your smartphone. So this app allows you to set up keyframes. So when you're ready to have the camera point to a different direction, you can set up a keyframe, move over the camera inside of the app, and then now when you press play, you'll be able to see that motion happens, and you can change the type of transition and things like that to make it kind of cool. But that's the basic as far as that. But also inside of this app, you'll scroll down and see that you have options to be able to adjust the clarity of the video, or add Insta360's color plus color grading, which basically bumps up the saturation and brightness and things. So this sometimes looks great, sometimes it doesn't. So I like to kind of leave the overall video image kind of flat and then edit it in post. But you can add that if you're trying to do something on the fly. So this app is really good for editing your videos, maybe to post to social media and stuff. But if you do want to get the best video quality, you will need to use the Insta360 app on your computer, whether it's PC or Mac. And so this will give you the ability to do like ProRes exports and just get that extra bump in quality. And you have access to the same editing tools that's inside of the mobile app, plus some extra stuff in there. And oh, one tip that I would recommend for everyone to do on camera is when you do get the camera, turn that sharpness down to low, because sometimes the medium or the high settings can just make the image look way too sharpened, but you can always add sharpening in post when you do have it at low. So that's my one tip to you. But other than that, using the desktop app is easily the best way to get the overall best quality.
Now, if you do want to get this thing wet, it is rated IPX8. So this means that it can go 10 meters underneath water without any special type of waterproof case or housing or anything. Just make sure all of the lids on the covers are covered up and closed down nicely before you do get this thing wet. And since we're already talking about ports and covers and all of that stuff, let's talk about the different connections and stuff on this camera. So you have the biggest compartment, which is going to be for the battery, which is coming in at 1800 milliamp hours. And that's up from the 1630 milliamp hour battery from the X2. So you should be getting a little bit longer battery life. And in the same battery compartment is where you're going to be putting in the micro SD card for storage, because this camera does not have any built-in storage. So you have to use a micro SD card. And then above that, you will find a USB-C port that's going to be used for charging as well. And then on the opposite side, you will find two buttons. One's going to be the power button. And below that, you'll find this button that has a little Q on it. And this stands for quick menu. So basically, once you press this button on the screen, it'll pop up different presets that you can set up yourself. So you can customize these to be set up for 360 video, or for single lens mode, or for slow motion video. So you can go ahead and do that to have quick access to be able to change those depending on the situation that you're in. And you also have a couple of buttons right below the screen. So one is going to be able to initiate recording or to snap a picture. And the other one is going to be able to allow you to quickly switch between single lens mode or 360 mode. Now, if you're not too familiar with 360 cameras, you might be wondering, how am I getting these cool shots where the camera looks like it's just floating by itself or a ghost is holding it? Well, that's because Insta360 does sell these invisible selfie sticks, which basically, once you mount the camera on the end of these, in the final video, this thing disappears. You don't see it. So it looks like the camera is just kind of following you by itself. And this is kind of their regular version that they have been selling here for a while. But new this year is that they have this big boy right here. This is their extended selfie stick. And this thing can get up to right under 10 feet long. And so I'm gonna extend it right now, but it's gonna go way too long. So I have to switch camera angles to show you just how long this thing can get. So this thing will allow you to make it seem like a drone is following you, or just to be able to get really cool shots where you're hanging this thing off of a bridge or going in between different things like, you know, gates or poles and stuff like that. So this thing is pretty awesome, and it's actually pretty stable as well. But I would recommend, for me, like when I am doing a lot of my e-bike videos, I do still typically use the smaller selfie stick, because the smaller it is, the less opportunity for the thing to shake and rattle, especially when you are going over rough terrain, bumps and stuff like that. But this long stick right here, this is going to be great for walking around and stuff. Or again, if you are stationary, you can just be able to do like a whipping shot and move it around in a lot of places where you typically can't get to. All right, so this mode I'm in right now is called me mode, and this is all about yourself. So this allows you to use the invisible selfie stick with this camera to give you this shot where it's kind of like where you're vlogging by yourself, right? You can get a shot of you in the background, but it's cool because you have to hold the camera and the invisible selfie stick horizontally. So it has to be kind of mostly level. And then this allows the cameras to be able to work in unison to give you this shot here where you can see my full body and see all around me. So this is pretty dope. And oh, let's also use this opportunity to be able to talk about the audio. So here's how the built-in microphones sound on this camera. So here I am talking on the cameras, and you can see that the camera is a little bit away from me, so the audio is going to be very tiny. It's not going to sound that great. But right now I'm going to switch over to the DJI microphone, which I have here right on my chest. And so this is a wireless microphone that I use all the time for my videos. But the cool thing is that Insta360 does sell a mic adapter that you can plug into the USB-C port, and then you can plug in the receiver for the DJI microphone into that using a 3.5 millimeter cable. And then now you can get this better audio automatically baked into your video. Now, if you don't want to buy that, you can always do what I'm doing right now, and that is just to sync up the audio in post when you are editing the video. It doesn't take that long to do, but you know, I like having that adapter as an option. Now for me though, I'm going to be using this camera for a lot of my electric bike reviews, where I'm trying to get different angles of me riding the bikes. And traditionally, for me to get something like this particular view, I might need a drone or someone else to be riding alongside of me. But the beauty of this camera is that basically I can get this angle and not need anyone else. I just have to attach this onto the selfie stick. And I'm using one of their mounts that comes with their motorcycle kit. It's a pretty robust mount, but they also do sell this bicycle kit that's for your traditional bikes. And that's gonna be a little bit more of a smaller mount, but that kit includes the handlebar mount for that. Also this really cool kind of unicorn helmet mount, but also a chest strap. Now the chest strap is what I've been using the most, because this allows me to get this particular angle where you see my hands and you see me riding the bike, and allows for this perspective just to be something that looks really dope. And the angle that you're seeing right now is me using the single lens mode. So yes, you don't have to always use 360. You can just choose to use one of the lenses, and you can record this video up to like 4K, 30 frames per second in this particular mode. And so yeah, what this camera gives you is just options, right? The options to get all these cool different types of shots. and it allows me to be a single man operation and still be able to get some cool angles that I just wouldn't be able to traditionally get by myself. Now, when it comes to battery life, look, I'm going to say that this isn't all day battery life, especially depending on, how much you're using it. But for me, I would say I would feel comfortable with using this camera from the morning to maybe, I don't know, afternoon as far as my uses. But if you're looking for all day battery life, you're gonna need 2 batteries. So you can always buy an extra one on the website or from Amazon or somewhere else. But generally for an action camera, the battery life is good, right? It's not something that felt like it was dying too fast, but again, if you want all day battery life, you're gonna need more batteries. And so yeah, I think that's about it. So look, this X3 is just a camera that can fit in a lot of different scenarios. It's a camera that you don't mind having in your bag because you'll be able to get some videos that you just really can't get with your smartphone or a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. This camera is capable of so many different things and it allows you to really just change the perspective of what you are recording, whether you're chasing around your dog, whether you're at an amusement park, or whatever you're doing, this camera can just make sure you get a good shot. Or if you don't think you got a good shot, just go and edit it later. And typically, if you are recording 360 video, you can make most things look good if you do mess up. And I'll put a link down below in the description box that will link to this camera. And also I'll put some links for some of my favorite accessories that I have been using with this camera so far. But yeah, let me know what you think about this X3. Is a 360 camera in your future? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell and give this video a like if you did like it. But like always, I do want to thank you for watching this video and I will catch you later. Peace.